Okay, so we have finished creating our models, article and feed source. Now let's go back and look at our diagram. Usually after that, as we finish our model, okay, our models, right? We did our enum because we have feed URL type, right? Next thing I usually do is my networking service. So let's go ahead and create that. And that's going to be separate. So I'm going to create another folder. All right, new folder, networking service, services. Because I mean, I'm going to have more than one networking service, right? And so inside of here, I'm going to create a file. Let's call it feed networking service. Now, for those who are not familiar with what a networking service is, this is going to be a mechanism where you make your API call. Okay. It just makes the API call over the internet to the API and you get back the data. Okay. That's it. Really, that's really all it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to do the parsing. Parsing is separate. Okay. And it's separate for multiple reasons. Number one, it allows for scalability. You can change your parsing logic without messing up your networking service. And most important, testability. Okay, so we're gonna go here. We don't need any UI, so all I'm gonna do is import foundation, right? Import the foundation, and this is going to be class because we want reference semantics, feed networking service, right? And now one thing that now we have this, right? However, when you make your networking service, you must make it so that you can swap it out with another um, fake networking service for testing purposes, right? And you're going to use that fake networking service to test specifically to test your view model. If you don't understand how all this fits together, you will. Okay. So in order to be able to swap this networking service out for another networking service, it must conform to a protocol. Okay. Why? Because you don't want to pass it to something that accepts an object of type feed networking service, right? Because then it'll only accept a feed networking service. However, if it conforms to something different, what just happened there? Oh my God. But if it conforms to another um to a protocol, right? And then you can use feed networking service. You can create something, mock feed networking service. Just make sure that it has the exact same signatures and it'll conform. And that might seem confusing, but I will illustrate it clearly for you. Okay, so let's go over here. I'm going to make a new folder. It's going to call protocols. Okay, I'm going to just right here, C, go in here, create a new file, empty file, feed networking service protocol. Now I have this protocol. I'm going to import foundation again, but this isn't going to be of type struct or class. This is going to be of type protocol. Protocol, feed networking service protocol, right? And I'm just going to have a function called fetch data. Okay. And what I'm going to have is from Parameter is URL, okay, of type URL, not URL request, just URL, okay? And I'm going to pass a parameter called retry count because in this networking service, just like any responsible networking service, on an enterprise level app, you need to have a number of retries. We're going to use async await, not escaping closures, async throws. So this means that this is async. That means that this uses async await. We have multiple tasks that finish at different times, right? That's the definition of asynchronous, excuse me. So then we're going to pass back a tuple, right? One tuple, one data type is going to be ATA data, comma, right? And response URL response. And there we go. And this is going to be the protocol. And everything that conforms to this will be treated the same. You know, this is how we pass it as a parameter. Okay, so we go back here, feed networking service, right here, and then we slap that protocol there. And then we get this error, right? We don't conform. Press this button that says fix, and there you go. Now we conform, right? So now we got to finish the functionality. Of course, it says missing because there's a return type that's missing, right? But we can fix that by actually finishing up the functionality. Okay? So now we fetch data, var current attempts, okay, equals 0. Okay? Right there are current attempts, and then we'll have delay, right? Var delay. And again, this is where we're going to keep a counter of our retry attempts, right? And the limit, the functionality we're going to write is the limit should be retry count. Okay. Delay, we're going to have a delay. We're going to create a time delay in of type uint64. 64, right? And when you do it this way, this is like 1 second, I believe. 1, 2, 3, underscore 1, 2, 3, because these are nanoseconds. 1, 2, 3. So all of these come out to 1 second. Let me see. Yeah, that's correct. And you're gonna get this warning right here because this was never used, but we will use it. Okay. We're gonna create a while loop while current attempts. Let me make this current attempt because this is current attempt. While current attempt is less than or equal to retry count, right? We're gonna do this. And I'm sure at some point within this, while it's less, we're going to increment by 1. Okay? So now let's go ahead and use our URLSession.shared. Okay? So let's see this. Okay, right here, data and response. Okay, because that's what this is. Let data and response, right, equal try, because this is the type of data that we need to return. Await URL session dot shared dot data from URL, which is the parameter that we pass in here, right? URL right here. Okay. Now since we have a cat do try I have a cat try catch situation, right? So do right there. And now let's create this catch block. And this other part of the catch block is where we have our error, right? Actually, yeah, it's where we have our error. Hold on. Give me a second. So now inside this do, we have all of this, right? But let's go ahead and create a guard statement where we're going to get our response from, our HTTP response, right? So, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with it. So, let me see. Guard, let HTTP response. Oh, come on. Response equal response as optional HTTP URL response, right? Else, right? And then we need to throw, so this is a lowercase, right? Throw feed network error, right? Dot no data. But this does not exist yet, right? Feed network error is not in scope because we haven't created it. So let's go ahead and create this, okay? I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna create a new folder, and I'm gonna call this folder custom custom errors. Okay, custom errors, and I'm gonna create a new file, feed network error. Feed. Let me see if I copied that right. No, that's it. Let me do this real quick. Feed network. Oh, God. Feed network error. Okay. And then I'm going to import foundation, right? And then I'm going to say this is enumeration, right? Of feed network error, right? Type error, comma, custom string convertible, say case invalid URL, right? Case request failed error. Okay. And so this is just an enumeration, right? And of course, custom string convertible is another, as you can tell, is another protocol, but it exposes a property, and you set the values for the property, right? And that property I'm going to show you. We're not gonna. I'm gonna add the description. So I'm gonna put description down here. X, right? Description down here, and it must contain computed properties, right? And so right for now, I'm just gonna say return, right? Return. Okay, nothing for now. Okay, just to get that to quiet down, right? Now, I have these parts in this custom error, invalid URL, request failed error. This is going to be a value that's passed back when, if this is the case, and we use this value to do something, maybe get a message or get some details about the particular error, right? Um, case, bad status code, right? Bad. Boom, right? And bad status quote code. We want an integer. Okay, case, no data. Okay, data, right? And so now we're done with this part, but we need to go back. Well, we're not completely done with this network error because now we need to go and handle description. This is not the proper way to handle description. Right? It's completely not. So let me get rid of this. And I'm going to say switch, right? Self, case, dot, right? Invalid URL, right? Colon, return a string. The URL is malformed, right? The URL is malformed. Okay. Case, dot request failed, right? Request failed. And I'm going to say like this, let error. Okay. Now I can use this information in my return, right? And this should say, right, request failed with error, right? Request failed with error. And what the error is this error, right? Error dot localized description. That is the string representation of the error description, right? Case dot bad status code, right? Let code, right? Return, excuse me, bad HTTP status code, bad HTTP URL status, bad HTTP URL status, and the code will be here, right? Case dot no data, right? And it should say no data received. Return no data was received. Okay. And So now this feed network error is done. Let's go back to our service, right? And now this should be does not have no data. Let's see. So I do have a feed network error, but it says no data. There we go, right there. And yes, so the error went away. Okay, so now, and we have, let me go back to my feed network error. So we have some invalid URL, failed request, bad status code, no data. Now remember, these are things that are going to happen in your network errors. So use this kind of like as a boilerplate uh, to help you understand what type of things you need to add to your network, to your enumeration, okay? Because they're constant. All right, so now I have this. So now I have another guard statement, right? Guard, right? And status codes between 200 and 299. These codes are serviceable. 209 means that the response was absolutely, everything went right. Okay. Right. Outside of this range, you have errors, right? Okay. Dot contains, right? HTTP response dot status code. Okay. So this is basically when you get your response back, right? Your HTTP response is checking to make sure that your status code is between 200 and 299. Okay. All right. Period. Right. Else we're gonna throw an error. Well, else we're gonna have some other logic actually. We're not gonna throw an error just yet. We're gonna say if, and a lot of people will just leave it, they're just throwing error. But we're gonna add a little more logic. 400 to 499. So if this dot contains um HTTP response dot status code, right? This contains that, we're gonna throw an error. Okay. We're gonna throw, right, feed network error, right? Dot bad status code. That's what we're gonna say. This is bad status code. And we're gonna put that, we're gonna put in there HTTP response dot status code, right? Response dot status code, right? Right. Else, mm, else we're gonna throw well, we're gonna have a bad status code either way. Okay. If it comes outside of 200, 299, right? The bad status codes, right? And then now we're outside of it, right? We're outside of this guard statement, right? And so now what we want to do is we want to return our, right? No, 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 no. Return. We want to return our what? Our data and our what? Response. Okay. So now we return our data and our response, right? But if there's an error, we have to write our error functionality. Okay. All right. Current attempt. What was that? Is that plus equals or equal plus equals? That means this is our way of incrementing by one, right? Right? And then what the heck is that? Then we're gonna say if current attempt is greater than retry count, right? We're going to say throw feed network error, feed network error dot request failed error. Request failed error. Okay. We have that. Okay. However, we're outside of that, we're going to do a try, await, task, dot sleep how many nanoseconds? Delay, right? And what is delay? Delay is up here. 1 second. Okay. We're gonna wait that, and then we're gonna delay. Asterisk equals. All right. Okay, so now we have this, and outside of this right here, we need to throw our network error again. Throw, because guess what? At this point, there is no data. No data. Okay? And so, yes, so we're doing all this, right? We're either, if everything's good, we're returning our data response. Otherwise, we're throwing our network error and we haven't gotten anything back. This is our networking service. Okay, let's build. Okay, there you go. So we have this working, our networking service, and we're gonna get to a point where I'm going to test all of it. But for now, we're just gonna keep doing this piece by piece and walk you through it. So you see how the networking service is put together. This is all that it is. Okay, on to the next.